Okay, so in this lecture, we look at the roots of unity, and so this is also a means of exploiting some of the properties of complex numbers, which we have been talking about, and which we have looked at some of these properties, and the roots of unity is a very instructive you know problem to consider. That's the content for this lecture. Okay, so we know that if you square -1 or if you square 1, you're going to get 1, right? So the answer to the question of what the square roots of unity are is very simple, right? So just -1 or +1, right? So suppose we ask for the cube roots of unity. So in other words, well, we ask for in general complex numbers, right? So if we ask for only real numbers which when cubed give you 1, of course, so the answer is just 1. There is only one such real number, and that is 1. But if you allow for complex numbers, so in fact there are 3 complex numbers which when cubed will give you 1, right? So one way to see this is to recognize that the right hand side. So we are solving for this equation z cube is equal to 1, but the right hand side can be written as in this canonical form where there is a modulus of a complex number. So 1 itself is a complex number whose modulus is unity and whose phase is 0, right? Phase or argument. So but we have seen that the argument of any complex number is not unique, right? If it is 0, if 0 is an argument, then so is 2 pi, then so is 4 pi, and so on. So in fact you have this freedom to add as many 2 pi's as you want. So if we write it in this form, z cube is equal to e to the I 2k pi, right? So the right hand side is where k can be 0, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, so on, right? It doesn't matter which value of k you choose on the right hand side, they'll give you, all of them will give you just 1. But when you take the cube root now of this quantity, so you get z is equal to e to the I 2k pi by 3. And now once again you have all these different values of k available, but although there are not infinitely many different values, now it's also not just 1. So in fact you have 3 different 3 distinct complex numbers which which appear on the right hand side now. So in other words, when there are these 3 distinct complex numbers which when cubed will give you unity, right? So it is in fact customary to call these 3 cube roots of unity in this manner. So to refer to, one of them is 1, of course, the other one is omega, and the other one is omega squared, where omega is e to the I 2 pi by 3. Omega squared, of course, is e to the I 4 pi by 3, which is also which falls in this equation when you put k equal to 2, right? So another way of arriving at the same result is to start with this original algebraic equation z cube minus 1 is equal to 0 and factorize it. So you have z cube minus 1 is the same as z minus 1 times z squared plus z plus 1 equal to, so the equation is z minus 1 times z squared plus z plus 1 is equal to 0. Now, which means that either z must be equal to 1, so that is one root, which is anyway the obvious root, which is the real root. So, or z squared plus z plus 1 equal to 0. That's the quadratic equation, right, which you can solve, and we know how to solve a quadratic equation. Its roots are given by simply -1 plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, which in this case is 1 minus 4, which is actually square root of 3 times I. So you have -1 plus or minus square root 3 times I, the whole thing divided by 2, right? So we some thought reveals that in fact these are indeed the same as these omegas, right? So these omegas, this omega and omega squared. So in fact omega is equal to e to the I 2 pi by 3 is equal to -12 plus square root 3 by 2 times I, and omega squared is e to the I 4 pi by 3, which which has the same real part -12, but the imaginary part is minus square root of 3 by 2 instead of plus square root of 3 by 2. So this is omega and this is omega squared. So it's also straightforward to verify that in fact we have the cube roots of unity satisfy this identity 1 plus omega squared equal to 0, right? So not only are the roots of an equation of this kind, if you solve for it, omega is a root, but omega squared is also a root, right? So each of them separately, 1 plus omega squared is 0. And I mean, you can also put omega squared into this. So you get 1 plus omega squared plus omega to the 4 is 0, but that does not have any separate content, right? So it's omega power 4 is the same as omega. So that's why you get really the same, identity. So the cube roots of unity satisfy this identity 1 plus omega squared equal to 0. Now, in fact, all we have done so far can be extended to the, can be generalized to the nth roots of unity, right? So this whole argument follows through. And so if we are looking for complex numbers z such that z to the power n is equal to 1, we would, like before, write this equation as z to the n is equal to e to the I 2k pi, where k can be any integer, right? Because we have this freedom of, adding your phase by an arbitrary multiple of 2 pi, and then we take the nth root, and so we have z equal to e to the I 2k pi by n. So now z itself has n distinct complex numbers, although changing k in this equation gave you no different value for the right hand side. They were all just 1, but now the right hand side here for z, there are actually n distinct complex numbers, right? Although k will take infinitely many values, but there are n distinct complex numbers which come out of here, right? So these are the n distinct roots. So the nth root of unity, there are n complex numbers which are nth roots of unity. So again, it's customary to label them as 1, omega n squared, omega n cubed, so on, right? It's possible to verify that using this relation, indeed they're all of this kind, where omega n is just e to the I 2 pi by n. Instead of 2 pi by 3, you have e to the I 2 pi by n, right? And so it's also possible to visualize all of this geometrically. So in fact, the cube roots or the fourth roots or the nth roots of unity in general, they all have modulus 1, but it's only in the phase that they all differ. And in fact, they can be thought of as points which are sitting on a circle of radius unity centered around the origin of the complex plane, and these points are all equidistant from each other, starting from the point on the real axis. So we'll illustrate this for the cube roots of unity. So if you take the complex plane and then draw a circle of radius unity, so the first root is just this point on the x-axis, so it's just 1, and then you multiply. So omega n is nothing but taking this vector and rotating it by angle of 2 pi by 3, and then to get omega squared, you rotate once again by another angle of 2 pi by 3, and then if you do once more, you return to where you started. So changing k to any higher values doesn't give you any new complex numbers. If you rotate around, then you'll go back to omega. So that's what I said, omega squared, omega cube is just 1, and omega to the 4 is omega. So that's why we saw how 1 plus omega squared equal to 0 is the same identity you would get if you use the other root omega squared in that algebraic equation earlier. So in general, if you are looking for the nth roots of unity, you're going to get n points on the circle which are all distinct, right? You start with 1, and then there could be some point here, another point here, another point here, so on. They're all equidistant on this circle. They all start with 1 because 1 is always a root, no matter which route you're taking. So they all appear here. For example, if n equal to 4, you're going to get 1 point here, another point here, a third one here, and the fourth one here. That's it, and then it keeps repeating after that. So in general, there are going to be n points equidistant on this circle. So this is a useful exercise because we are looking at the nth roots of the simplest possible number, which is just a real number, and also it's just unity. But in general, you can find the nth roots of an arbitrary complex number. And so the way to do that is to first of all write the complex number as r times e to the I theta. So it has a magnitude and a phase. So the magnitude is a positive number, so the nth root of a positive real number is going to be another real number. It's unique, so you have something like r to the 1 over n, which you can pull out, and then you are left with just the problem of finding the nth root of e to the I theta. So in place of e to the I0, like it is the case here, you have e to the I theta, right, for an arbitrary complex number. And then to theta you can add an arbitrary 2k pi, and then of course, so you're going to end up with some other sequence of numbers which are also going to lie on some other circle whose radius is not unity because it has some other magnitude, but it's also going to, these phases are going to the different complex numbers will all lie on a circle, which all get rotated by a constant amount, right? So if we understand this problem well, so in general we can solve for nth roots of an arbitrary complex number. So that's all for this lecture. Thank you.